Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to the channel. So I'm pretty excited because one of my favourite products of last year has just had a big upgrade and it's finally arrived. Today we're going to be talking about the new Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 3. Called the 3 because the previous two versions were the standard and the 5G, so that makes total sense, right? Sure. If you've landed here because you're looking for a review of the Fold, then I'd also done a review on that which you can watch here. Anyway, these are just some of my first impressions, so it's not a full review, but hopefully it'll give you guys a pretty good sense of whether you want to buy one of these. Like with so much tech these days, I always think it's smart to wait a few iterations before a technology gets optimized. I felt the same way when the first smartwatches came out. They weren't waterproof and the battery life was terrible. But a few years on and they're seriously good now. I think the same is very much the case for the new Samsung folding phones. The first couple of iterations were very cool, but the reality is they had so many niggles and problems that they weren't really ready for mainstream adoption. So I suppose the biggest question I have heading into this first impressions video is this phone something you should buy today? Let's find out. Let's start with the unboxing experience because a device this expensive, it should be a pretty big deal. So I've got the 128GB version here with 8 gigs of RAM, which cost £945 or $999. It also comes in a 256GB option as before, but this new 128GB option has helped to reduce the base starting price versus the previous Flip, which is great. So let's open this box up, which is a little more straightforward to last time, and we'll put the phone to one side for a moment just to quickly see what else we have in here. So obviously we have the instructions, we have the USB-C power cable, but interestingly, again, no power adapter this time from Samsung. So let's bring the phone back in and just have a look at this for a moment. This is actually the matte black version, or what Samsung call Phantom Black, and I just love the look of this phone. I think it looks so stealth. It's interesting how they all come unfolded. I guess that's to protect the screen rather than having them stuck in storage for ages. The design is actually pretty similar to the previous version, but with some obvious design improvements. Firstly, it seems like the bezels on this model are a bit slimmer. The ridge in the screen also looks ever so slightly less obtrusive, which is still one of my big dislikes of this phone. And the sides are a lot more flat as well than the previous model, which actually I much prefer. Then of course we have that new front screen, which I'm glad they're not making too big. We've also got a new hinge, which feels pretty sturdy, but let's talk about that in a minute. And when you open it, it just looks and feels like a regular smartphone, basically the regular candy bar style. Overall though, the form factor seems very similar and I'm a big fan of the finish. It looks great and the design just looks so slick and I really like it. So let's talk about some of the key updates then. Firstly, we've got pretty much the same form factor but slimmer bezels and an overall more compact design, which I'm loving already. I think this is something that we're just going to continue to see improving as we get more of these, which is great. The first thing we should cover though is what makes this phone unique, which is the hinge. Samsung has reworked the hinge for this new Flip, which they're calling armor frame. I'm not entirely sure what that means, other than to say the hinge does feel sturdier than the previous Flip, and feels like it could stay in more positions. Obviously over time this hinge will weaken, so you want to start with a super stiff hinge to begin with. One of the big benefits of this new hinge is that for the first time we now have water resistance on the Flip, with the introduction of an IPv rating. Samsung is stating this is IPX8, which means it can remain in fresh water for more than an hour without being damaged. One of the important things to mention about this though is that the X means that dust resistance has not been tested. This likely means that there's going to be a little more dust protection than the previous Flip, but there's likely not going to be good resistance against dust. It's worth remembering though that more mainstream phones have had high IPv ratings for some time now, so essentially this is catch up for the Flip. Now this is one of the big downsides of owning a folding phone, which you just have to accept for now, and something I'm sure again will improve in future models. It's just one of the trade-offs to having a folding glass screen. Which leads us nicely to the next big improvement to the Flip, which is the display. We now have a brand new glass material which is stronger and more scratch resistant. In fact, Samsung reckon it's now 80% more durable and flexible than the previous Flip. Given the redesigned hinge and the improved display material to its predecessor, these are the two main components of a foldable phone. So it seems Samsung is aiming for an overall more durable device. So one of the big updates to the Flip is the larger front screen. The old 1.1 inch front display designed to show notifications and function as a viewfinder has now been replaced by a larger 1.9 inch display. What I like about this though is that it's not too large. The outside screen on the original Flip and the Flip 5G was tiny, relegating notifications and the clock to the corner of the phone's cover. One of the things that makes this flip phone great from my perspective is the ability to fold your phone and not be bombarded with distracting notifications with your phone on the table. The tiny screen on the old Flip did have some limitations though. For example, if I asked Google Assistant something, it wouldn't work without me opening the screen. And that's now been changed to this new model. The next generation seems to be making it easier for those trying to see their notifications or take selfies with the main cameras. Aside from these updates, there's a couple of less significant things to mention. The Flip now has dual speakers, which is a really nice improvement, but still nowhere near the quality of some other flagship devices. And there's also a larger battery in this latest Flip, which is great, especially as I noticed the previous Flip battery wasn't really standing up compared to other flagship devices. And the same can be said for the new processor, which offers a slightly more snappy experience, and it's definitely noticeable when you're scrolling and flicking through certain apps, especially things like YouTube. If you're an S Pen fan, and I'm sorry to say that the Flip doesn't appear to support S Pen compatibility, unlike the Fold, which I'll talk about in my Fold review, but honestly, why would you want a stylus with a mobile? Seriously, just buy a tablet. And finally, the most disappointing feature of the old phone is unfortunately still the worst aspect, which is the camera. While the front camera works with 10 megapixels and the two rear cameras have a resolution of 12 megapixels, the overall quality of cameras compared to some other phones are just not good, unfortunately. And in a device this expensive, you'd expect a better camera. It's not bad, just not great considering the price. So in summary guys, my first impressions of the new Fold are really positive. It's the closest to a regular phone in terms of weight, size, usability and also price. It's still a big commitment, but it's nice to see the phone's features and capabilities more in line with other flagship devices, but with the added benefit of being a foldable touchscreen phone, which is such a great feature for portability reasons, as well as being able to switch off a little bit from your phone and making you think twice about picking up when you do get a notification. Reflecting on the price, the original Z Flip was priced at £1,300 or $1,400, while the 5G version saw a £99 increase. So at $999, this model is a significant enough price cut for me to start genuinely recommending this phone as a daily device. In answer to the title of this video then, the answer is a pretty unanimous yes for me. It probably won't last as long as other phones, but this isn't really a phone you're buying for durability. You're buying it because it's pushing the boundaries of what's possible right now on a mobile device, and for that, you've got to love it. I really think this is an impressive piece of kit. It's really thoughtfully made, and if you are an Android user and haven't used one before, I'd really recommend giving it a go, because you might be surprised at how ironically they increase your focus from a productivity perspective. I'm really keen to hear what you guys think, so let me know whether you're thinking of getting one in the comments below, as well as any features you like or don't like. Anyway, that's all for now. Remember to subscribe and hit the notification bell if you haven't already, and remember to check out the Fold review, which I'll link to again in the description. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys next time.